Man, I'm ready for that live tomorrow. Cheers, man.
Cheers. And welcome to another episode of the Marlon vs. Marlon podcast. And I'm your boy Marlon.
And I'm your boy Marlon.
Join us as two childhood friends go back and forth, argue, debate, sometimes maybe even agree on everything from sports, pop culture, and everything in between.
All right, so on today's episode, of course, as most of you know, Ross and 2 Chainz, that Versus Live is going to be going on tomorrow, so I'm really ready for that. Lakers clinched the number 1 seed. What else? You have a big take on Luka, so we'll hear about that.
That boy good.
What else? We got a ton of stuff today. We're going to get into Phoenix. We're going to get into Russ versus Dame part 30, Joey Bosa's contract, Antonio Brown getting suspended and everything. But we're just going to start off with the NBA just being back, the restart. And it's good to see the guys out there playing and they have the virtual fans. It feels like NBA is the game is for the most part pretty competitive. So it feels good to see that. And also too that they were wearing different names on their back to bring up social justice and equality. Some people are peace, just all that stuff. So it's good to see that, and it's really great to just have NBA back again.
I agree. And shout out to even the European guys and foreign guys with their different languages on the back of their jerseys.
Right.
I don't know what the heck it says, but the announcers are saying it says stuff like equality and some of the sayings that we see on the American guys' backs. But
Right.
I think it's dope. I think that's cool. I still think they should have been allowed to put what they wanted to put on their back.
Right.
But I still think it's pretty dope.
And also too, like just when you see certain people wearing the say her name and just really just referencing Breonna Taylor and how we
Arrest the cops.
Arrest them, man. And it's good to hear the announcers even talk about it, because now it's like when you look at somebody's shirt, for the most part, it's on the back of their shirt, say her name. It's good that they're at least talking about it and bringing it up. And I just honestly think that's one of the best parts about it, about the NBA being back, wearing the Black Lives Matter shirts and all that. And there was one person, Jonathan Isaac, I believe his name was, or is, he didn't die or anything, but he didn't kneel. And so what was your initial thoughts when he didn't kneel?
It's his right. It's his prerogative. I think his reasoning was a little weird, and then he ended up tearing his ACL.
I don't mean...
A day later, 2 days later, like...
Yeah, I don't mean to laugh, but it's...
Oh, we're frozen on live. Or is it just my live?
It could be. I don't know. So I'm just kind of like just looking at his situation and seeing, just hearing his reasoning why he did it. I mean, yes, we all need to get closer to God. I think we all know that, but you got to be in unison with everybody and just be with your brothers. On the coaches are and shout out to Doc Rivers. Doc was one of the ones that said, how long were we down there for the national anthem and all that stuff, and he said just 2 minutes or something like that. And he said his knee was already hurting, and just imagine that cop that had his knee on George Floyd's neck for 8 minutes. So, but shout out to Doc for that. Just.
And like you said, man, I kind of think when you purposely do that, you're trying to make an even bigger statement than if you would just be a part of the group. Again, it's his choice. You can do what you want to do, but I mean that's not. If you're talking about God and loving people and everybody being together, it's kind of a weird way to show it. So, right. Godspeed on your recovery, man. I hope your knee gets better.
Yeah, man. It looked very very painful, but. So let's switch over to some NBA stuff. The Lakers did just play. Now, we already clinched the number 1 seed, so I honestly felt they wouldn't come out playing hard as they normally would. AD, he left the game for a little bit, so, Chris Paul right now, they're fighting for seedings. And shout out to Chris Paul, too, man. Chris Paul is at 35. I talk so bad about Chris Paul. Why did the Rockets pay him this much, making... damn near 40 a year. I bashed him. I was like, I would never pay him that money. And now he's shown from a team that I want to say they probably were projected to barely get 30, 35 wins. Here they are in a playoff hunt, and Chris Paul's playing some of his best basketball at 35 years old.
I have always been, Chris Paul is my favorite player in the league.
Yeah.
Always been a Chris Paul fan. I'll tell it to anybody who will listen. From even when he was back with the Hornets, and he took that Hornets team with a young Tyson Chandler, a young David West, before these guys became All-Stars, and took them to the playoffs in what, I believe, and I showed you this, was an MVP season.
Mm-hmm.
They got beat by the Lakers, who had an amazing team that year in the playoffs. And that was Kobe's actual MVP season, and it probably should have won to Chris Paul. Kobe should have won other MVPs, don't get me wrong, but that year Chris Paul was the MVP of the NBA. And I don't know, he's one of the most competitive players in the NBA. He's a dog. He wins at all calls. He doesn't mind doing the dirty work, doesn't mind making, the tough plays, whatever the case is. So and he's a bucket getter. He gets everybody involved. He's a guy who averages 20 points, 10 assists, like year in, year out. So, Jimmy Garoppolo. Sorry.
My time with Jimmy Garoppolo?
No, I just saw him pop up on the screen for some reason.
Oh, that was from last week. We were talking about him and Dak. So, but yeah, so he's taking that team, and who knows? Where that team is gonna land, and as far as, because I know they're right in the middle of the pack, I believe. So it definitely should be interesting seeing how everything plays out. But if we look at the Western Conference standings, Lakers, they did lose today, but it doesn't matter. Number 1, Clippers number 2, Nuggets 3, Jazz 4, Rockets 5, Thunder 6, Mavs 7, and then that 8 seed, and then we'll get on this. That 8 seed, Trailblazers are, the 9th seed, and I believe if they fall within 4 games, I believe it is.
It's 2 or 4.
Something like that. But there's like some type of play-in game for that 8th spot. And I have my throwback, Melo, Denver Nuggets on. So it feels good to see that Melo is finally kind of stepping up and showing people that he still got it. He's obviously not elite. He's not the Melo he once was in Denver. Like, he's not that guy anymore. He's more of a role player, but he's on a decent team. And I'm not saying they'll win a championship by any means, but it's just great to see Melo play at this level and hitting big shots and catch and shoot, and it just feels good seeing everybody counting them out. And I feel like I just feel like it's good to see Melo back, and I hope he stays for a few more years in the league.
Yeah, Melo. One thing about Carmelo has been consistent in his whole career. I don't care whether you like his game, whether you don't, whether you think he's a winner or whether he's not. He's a bucket getter.
Right.
He's a bucket. Like, he's the definition of a bucket. Whether you want it in the post, the mid post, the 3-point line. He can score. He's a born scorer. He's like Kevin Durant. You know what I'm saying? He's just a bucket getter. So. Yeah.
So, and then sticking with that team, Dame and Russ, it's like that back and forth, that dog. And I just really wish that more NBA guys would be like this, to where it's like you playing against a guy, you I don't want to say you hate that guy, but you really, really, really dislike that guy. You're not friends. You're straight competitors. And I know you probably had just rivalry teams and different players where you was like, man, like dudes get up under your skin, all that stuff. So it's good to see the competitive nature and the fire that they have with each other. And Dame always ends up coming out on top. So.
I don't agree with the last part of that statement. Dame has won one playoff
Well,
series?
in the back and forth. I mean, as far as career wise, we talked about this in like pre-production, but as far as individual accolades, definitely Russ will have that. But I feel like at the end of his career, Dame will have a better career. He may mess around and you don't think in Portland he'll get a ring, but I just feel like Dame will end up getting at least a ring at the end of his career. And with Russ, I don't know if this is going to work with Harden, but.
Well, I think at this point right now, well, even from the jump, I think Dame is a better scorer than Russ. And let me clear something up. I don't think they have any beef or that they have any dislike between each other. I think they're just ultra competitors. Like, I think they got the utmost respect for one another. But when we step in between these 94 feet, in between these lines, I'm trying to get a win.
Friends,
yeah, it's not about any. Like, you trying to go at my head, I'm trying to go at your head. I'm trying to get a win. Mm-hmm. And that's what I respect about both of those guys. But I think Dame is a better scorer. And I think that's what people see. You see Russ's field goal percentages, and they're super low. But Russ averaged a triple-double. He's one of like 2 or 3 people in the history of the NBA. Much. Yeah. To ever average a triple-double. Like, Dame's never going to do that. Mm-hmm. And I feel confident saying that a 6'2" guy is never going to average 10 rebounds, and he doesn't even try. for rebounds like that.
And what's crazy is Russ is 6'3".
Yeah,
So,
but Russ, his style of play is a lot different. It's a lot more reckless. It's in the paint. And don't get me wrong, Dame can finish around the cup, but it's not with reckless abandon like Russ. Like that's his game. Aggressiveness, athleticism. So I do think it's a little bit different, but I don't know who's better. I'm taking the MVP. I'm taking triple-double seasons. But a last shot, obviously, I wanted in Dame's hands over Russ. But does that make him better? I don't know.
It doesn't necessarily make him better. Overall, I've always said that I love Russ. It's hard for Russ to kind of put it all together, especially now you're trying to plug him into different teams. I was the number one person that said that this wasn't going to work with him and Harden just because they both need the ball. They're ball dominant in order to be, effective. So it's just good to at least see them where
they're fifth in the
fifth,
league.
yeah. And then truthfully with a few more wins, I mean, they could easily bump up to, number 2, but I mean,
and I think that's always kind of subjective. Like we say him and Chris Paul didn't work, but it did work. They made a playoff run. They just lost. They weren't. You know what I mean? It's not that it didn't, like they missed the playoffs or something like that.
They were the closest Western team in beating the Warriors.
That's what I'm saying. And I like having James play with another ball dominant guard because he gets to rest throughout the game. In the first couple of years in Houston, you always saw him in the fourth quarters in the playoffs and stuff like that, tiring out, coming up short on jump shots. Not being able to finish games late just because he was so dang tired because he had the ball in his hands every single possession. You got to think about that. Yeah, he's taking breaks, but out of 90, 100 possessions, he's 60, 70 possessions with the ball in his hands, something crazy like that. Like, by far, I mean, him and LeBron, but LeBron runs the offense. Right. James Harden is the offense.
He's the recipe.
Yeah.
So staying in the Western Conference, you have something that you didn't want to. You just said you had something to say about Luka. I didn't even know what you had to say about Luka.
Luka Doncic is the second best player in the world. He's the second best basketball player.
He's top 5.
He's the second best. I don't care.
I give him top 5. He's going to disrespect Kawhi like
Everybody can have their own opinion. Luka Doncic is the second best basketball player in the world.
He's better than the current MVP right now?
Yes.
He's better than Kawhi?
Yes.
Nah.
To me.
Yeah, okay.
That's opinion. To me, for my money, he's the second best player in the world. You can ask me why, and I'll tell you why. But I don't even think it's close. I think if anybody's in the question, it's Kevin Durant. But
I forgot about KD. That's why I mean
he's not playing basketball right now, so he's not in the conversation to me. When he comes down, obviously,
I'm thinking about Kawhi right now, and we've seen what he did. Obviously, he played 2/3 of the game last year, in Toronto when they won, but still, like Kawhi, in my opinion, he's still number 2 right now. But I will say this: Luka he's for sure going to be there for a long time at that time because he's young. What is he? Is he 21? Barely.
Yeah. Go to the Eastern Conference standings real quick. This is
Toronto.
Toronto Raptors have less than 20 losses on the season, 48-18 right now. Only 5 games back behind what a lot of people are thinking is a favorite to come out of the East without a star.
Kyle Lowry is not that real.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, that's a good team.
They have a lot of role players.
Fred VanVleet's been killing.
Other dude's name.
Siakam is great. They have a bunch of guys. You still got a Wally Vet and play with Russ and Serge Ibaka. Like they've got a solid team. So yes, he's the reigning MVP and he's the Finals MVP. All that great stuff, cool. But this is the difference. And I know you didn't ask me this, but I'm going to tell you because people will ask.
Brandon Curbs and what's up?
People will ask this. First of all, 30, 20, and 10. I want to say he's the first guard to ever do that, but he's only like the 3rd player in NBA history to do that.
I was looking at his stats the other day, and I think he had a stat that people would love to have at the end of the game. He had that at the end of 3. So he's definitely
no. But feel me on this. A guy like Kawhi, a guy like Kevin Durant, a guy like and I won't put James Harden in there, but those kind of guy like Giannis. their job is to score the basketball. They're scorers. They run plays for them. They run off screens. They set screens for them. They put them in the post. All that kind of stuff. And your job is to put the ball in the basket. For the Dallas Mavericks, that kid has to do everything. He has to get those other guys involved because none of them can get their own shot. I don't care what anybody says. Not Seth Curry, not Tim Hardaway Jr., not Porzingis. We saw what Porzingis was by himself up in New York.
Thinking about it now,
and he's only in his second or third year in the NBA.
Third.
And he's a walking triple double. He's 6'7". He shoots the ball at an elite level. He passes the ball at an elite level, and he has to do it all. What a lot of people don't realize is a 30-10 game for a Kevin Durant or for Kawhi, that's really like 40 or 50 points, 45 to 50 points. But he has to get everybody else involved. So instead of taking those extra shots, he's distributing to his team and making sure that they're involved and playing. And, because as a point guard, you have to do that. I don't care if it's Roberson. If he don't touch the ball the whole game for OKC, the guy that just came back from 10, if he doesn't touch the ball all game, you think he's playing as hard as he would on the defensive side on the last possession? No, you have to get all these guys touches. And that's what a guy like but a guy like Kawhi, a guy like Giannis, a guy like KD doesn't have to worry about. And everybody can beat me up for this, but we saw what KD did on great teams in Oklahoma City as the guy. We saw what he did up until he went to
the Warriors,
to possibly the greatest team ever assembled. And are you telling me that they wouldn't have won a championship with Luka? I'll take a 17-year-old Luka on that team. They were winning them without him. So what makes me think that they wouldn't have won it with him? Like, I don't get me wrong. If you want just buckets, I'm not taking him first. But if I'm starting a team, I'm taking LeBron James. Then I'm taking Luka Doncic if LeBron's gone.
I've always, and when you break it down like that, I think that when you want to just watch a game, you're gonna go and watch Lakers or Bucks or just some of the best teams. You're not necessarily gonna watch some of the worst teams. And speaking of one of the worst teams, we're gonna talk about them in a second. But looking at Luka's game, I mean, we've even said it at some point last year that he's gonna be around, and LeBron actually mentioned it. Like, he was one of the first people that he named. Like, who would you want to play with if you could? Play with anybody. Luka was one of the people that he said. But I'm going to throw a curveball at you. We didn't even talk about this. And I've said this before on this podcast, that give it 3 years, maybe even 4. Jason Tatum will be the top 2 player in this league. When you look at his game, I've watched this guy. He's been on, Kobe's talked about him on Detail. I feel like, I'm not trying to say he's like a young Kobe by any means or nothing like that, but I feel like his work ethic, how he plays, he's on a good team. When his contract is coming up soon, he definitely is going to get the Supermax. I just feel like that, and then just look at what this team is doing. Yeah, you got Kemba, you got Jaylen Brown, you have some good role players, Gordon Hayward, you have great role players on that team, but give it 3 years, maybe even 4, Jason Tatum will be top 2, 3 player in the league. Call me crazy. Call me whatever.
I really think he's going to be a good player, and I agree with you on that. But I think there'll be a couple things that'll hold him back from it. One is, like you said, he got 2 or 3 other guys on that team that'll go for 30 any given night.
Right.
And they're all volume scorers. They're not not volume scorers, but they all need the ball in their hands to score. They're not like catch and shoot guys with maybe Jalen Green or Jaylen Brown a little bit, but
Swampo, what's up?
But it's more so they do moves off the dribble to score.
Right.
And when you got 4 or 5 guys that all need the ball in your hand, that's tough.
Right.
But I mean, obviously, I feel like Luka's going to be the best player in the league. But
especially too, because LeBron getting older and Luka's he's young, so he's going to be around.
Right. And I mean, let's be honest, he's marketable. He's what they wanted Steve Nash to be. He's what they wanted Dirk Nowitzki to be. Like, he's a really good white guy. Let's be honest.
And I felt like it was a good transition from when Luka was there and you had Dirk, and it was like a passing the torch of the Mavericks. We're obviously in Dallas, so it was a great, passing the torch. Now he's here and he has KP, and you have some other Tim Hardaway and Seth and all that stuff. So they're building a pretty nice little team there. And in the Western Conference, they are 7th right now, so they better not fall too far behind. Well, no, they're good. They already clinched, so they're good.
And
they're gonna make it.
This is what I'll say too, since we're talking about future stars, and this is a guy that I think is a star right now, in Devin Booker.
Sure, we was about to get to him next.
I
only team that's 3-0 on the bubble.
Only team that's 3-0 on the bubble. I don't think he'll ever win. He made a comment after making a game winner that he wants to be known as the reputation of a winner.
Mm-hmm.
I think he has to get out of Phoenix for that. But and that's what hurt me so much. I mean, by all means, bro, get your money, young man. Like,
right.
I'm glad you got that long contract, but I kind of wished like he would have got out of Phoenix.
You said that a bunch of times on here.
Yeah, and because he is a bucket. Like when it comes to basketball, like he's the perfect size. Pause. But he's like a prototype.
Oh,
he's a little bit. He's not as linky as Kobe was, but because Kobe didn't start. But he's 6'6", 6'7". Yeah. You saw him shoot the game winner over Paul George and the move in the series of moves he did to even get there. But he has a feather soft touch. He can score in paint. He can score in the mid range. He can score behind the paint or behind the 3-point line.
This is why you're getting double teamed on pickup ball.
Oh, hell yeah.
This is why. This reason right here. Like, just seeing what you can do with professionals. Open gym. I don't care what it is. This is why you're getting double teamed. Because you do stuff like this.
Right. Was that last year? Or he said that?
I think it was like last year. He's mad because this is why. But it only helped your game. It prepared you for situations like this where because didn't Kawhi start on him? And then I don't know what it was, but
if he gets another guy next to him, no disrespect to DeAndre Ayton, shout out to Dago and Coach Zach, but he needs a guy. Even if he had like a Bill, a Bradley Bill, or just a 1-2 punch to go with him, and then like a solid big
like that Clay, that Bradley Bill, like that shooter, somebody that can kind of create their own shot.
Somebody that could take the pressure off
Paul
him
George.
in the first 3 quarters. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because that's what all the greats had. That's what it was when it was LeBron and Kate and D Wade. It was Kobe and Shaq. Like that's the advantage of playing with another great player. Not that you need somebody to take the last shot for you, but it's somebody to help you get to the end of the game and allow you to rest during the first 3 quarters. Because if you can't do that, you're what we were talking about with James Harden.
Yeah. Speaking of another guy that's been balling like crazy and really came out of nowhere. I don't know if you've ever heard this dude, but I haven't. TJ Warren. I mean, and I know he had a decent third game, but in his first 2 games, 87 points. Like I don't know who this guy is, where he came from, but
NC State, baby. Carolina boys.
Yeesh.
Brewster Academy, shout out.
Sheesh.
Brewster puts out guys too. Brewster is where Spider Mitchell went to Brewster. It was a kid that went to my high school, transferred to Brewster for his senior year. He ended up going to the University of Oregon. One of my son's favorite players, kind of funny. But yeah, TJ Warren is a beast. I just remember him from the ACC and giving fits to like UNC, Duke, like all those top programs in the ACC.
Right.
But he was, the same situation as Devin Booker is now. He was by himself. Like he was just playing against better teams. But sometimes that comes to your advantage. So and he's a Durham boy. Shout out to Bull City and all my family back home. But yeah,
man. So and I don't know what he got. Can you look up what he got his third game in the bubble if you can? But he's been balling 87 points. So I'm sure he's probably 110. 120
I want to say he
points
might have been player of the year in the ACC his junior or senior year. Don't quote me on that, but.
Yeah, but so anyways, he's obviously been balling. So we talked about Phoenix, Lakers. We talked about them.
2014 ACC Player of the Year. I knew I wasn't tripping.
Yeah. Talked about CP3, Tatum, Luka, Brandon Ingram. I've never been a fan of this guy. I feel like now he's starting to play like I wanted him to play when he was in LA, and so now he's emerging he most likely will get the most improved player.
But it's going to hamper his growth too because they're going to try to make Zion a star.
Well, you got to. I mean,
have to.
Well, I mean, it's Zion.
That doesn't mean anything.
I don't care who you have, unless you have LeBron, or I don't care if, even if you got Luka on your team. Like, Zion is box office, is he not?
But this is the thing about Zion. Zion is, he's really like a Blake Griffin was when he first came in the league, right? Jump out the gym, super highlight plays, scoring around the basket, but he's not a guy you have to run plays for.
Nothing, you don't.
So you can run like pick and rolls how all these teams are doing, where if the guy helps you throw the lob, if not, let BI score, let JJ Redick comes off the screens hitting jumpers, or Drew Holiday, one of the most underrated players in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can do that without sitting him on the block. Like, Zion's not a guy I'm gonna give to him, get a ball to the block 15 times a game.
Right.
So I hope that they don't start doing that. And Alvin Gentry's a good coach, so I don't think he will. But that's what scares me, because the league wants him to be a star. They want it to kind of be like a Luka and
KP.
No, not Luka and KP,
Dirk?
but just him and Zion, like to be the face of the league for the next 10 years type of thing. So I hope that doesn't happen. But TJ Warren, man, 32, 34, 53.
And there was a report saying that he was out of shape. That's why he wasn't getting minutes. So I don't know how true that is. I mean, the dude was, what was he at Duke? Like
280 or something.
260, 270, something like that. That's his game. So it's like, I feel like
But
you try to alter somebody like that's game. Like that's who he is. It's not like it's a LeBron where it's going to affect him. Like, LeBron can still, whether he's 240 or if he's 210, LeBron's still gonna be LeBron. But you get somebody like that needs to be banging down low with people. Like, now you get somebody like the Joker or Jokic. Like, with him, he can lose some weight. And he's very versatile to where he can still be effective if he loses some weight.
I think Zion's 6'6", 284 is what he's listed at. I think for his sake and for his knees and the long career sake, he should be around 255, 260, 265 on the top end. That's a lot of weight for his type of athleticism and his type of game. And mind you, he's been doing this for the past 4 years already.
Right. Moran is a rising star.
Moran is a rising star. He got to
100%.
Yeah. And I don't like. I wish there was more parity in the NBA, but let's call a spade a spade. The Kings aren't winning the championship. The Grizzlies aren't winning the championship. The Suns aren't winning the championship. And the Suns have won a championship before, but I'm just saying they're not winning one.
Not anytime soon.
Yeah, so some of these guys, unless you get a situation where maybe 2 or 3 of these young guys get together and get on the same team, team up, pretty much like D-Wade, LeBron, and Bosh did. Meet up and go there, or they pull in another third superstar. Like, that's going to be the problem in Portland. That's going to be the problem in these smaller markets, just because, for one, the big markets attract the free agents and the big name guys. So unless they're able to kind of team up and do something like that together, I just don't see it happening. I love Ja Morant, though. He got game, and he's a dog. He's in that same conversation with Russ and Dame Lillard, as far as, I'm going at your throat. I don't care. I respect you. I looked up to you for the last 5 years, but right now I got to go at you. So,
all right. So now we're going to switch over to some other news in sports. Well, the intro and all that stuff. See, you have to factor that stuff in that you don't. So we'll just get to this stuff real quick. Joey Bosa with a big contract. The news broke as soon as we got off last week. So $135 million. I think it's great. You had to do that young?
Oh,
do I young? You talked about Dak for 25 minutes last week?
You started the conversation about that.
Sheesh. Says I want to talk about my team. Now it's your time. So I think this is great for our defense. I think our defense is going to be one of the best in the league. However, offensively, I'm still skeptical on that. We have weapons, but that key piece, that quarterback, is going to be one of the toughest things, I feel like. And then it doesn't help, too, when you got somebody like Patrick Mahomes, who's going to be around forever. So
I just think that it's so interesting that they chose right now and him to finally decide to pay somebody.
And what's crazy, we don't pay people, we don't go after free agents, we don't give big contracts, we don't, it's very rare for us to get out ahead of this unless we are stuck and we have to give a contract extension or we have to do something like that. Because our mindset's like, okay, cool, you want a whole bunch of money, we're gonna go ahead and go.
We're not gonna win anything anyway. That's not how you guys think.
We'll pick somebody else up, and then from there we'll be all right. So we plug and play and we draft well. So look at some of our recent draft picks. I mean, we've definitely drafted well, trying to stay young and everything. So, but we'll see what happens. Definitely looking forward to Hard Knocks is actually should be starting. I think
Where'd you guys draft him?
Who?
Bosa,
we got him first round 2016.
No, but like where in the draft?
We were in early draft then because Bosa was one of the top. That was like 5 or 6.
That's what I'm thinking.
Bosa was 5 or 6.
Oh, third pick.
Yeah, it was up there. It was high up there, but it was 2016 draft. I do know that.
Yeah, so my only point was it's not hard to draft well when you're picking third. That's where we got Zeke.
Now you see, do I bash your team like that? Do I say you guys are just some average guys?
We
that's
are.
never gonna
So
win
we
nothing?
win something.
And your running back can't stay out of clubs, can't stay away from COVID. I could rip your team. Your receiver you gave the receiver you gave $100 million a few years ago couldn't catch anything in Oakland. Amari,
and he's a top 5, top 10 receiver now. What are you talking about? Doesn't
don't
matter.
matter. He stole the money.
And this is the funniest part. When you start talking about my football team, and the first thing you say is stay out of the club and COVID. Like that has nothing to do with football, so I'm fine with that.
No, that's Zeke. That's him punching DJs and.
So what is it? And he still has more. He still averaged more yards than your running back for the past 3 years. So what?
It's not my running back no more.
Oh well, he was.
Yeah, he's with a trash team now. They can take him. He's trash. All right.
Are you guys gonna be last place in the division or not?
No, I do think we're better than the Raiders, and I think we'll be better than Denver. So.
You think you're finishing second place with Tyrod Taylor in your division?
Or Justin Herbert. I don't know who we're going to have. But regardless, our defense will take us. All right. So, UConn football canceled their football season. So
UConn has a football team?
That's what I said. So, that's going to be interesting to see if other teams in the division follow suit other programs. So that's going to be something to look out for because it's definitely getting ready to be crunch time. So.
Unless Gino Ariam is coaching them, I don't want to know about a UConn sports
Speaking of, Breonna Stewart is probably my favorite WNBA player.
She's a monster.
She's like by far, like, I'm not going to go as far as to say all time, but she definitely, she's like
she's Kevin Durant.
That's what I was about to say. That's what I was about to say. Yeah, like I was watching just some highlights of her, and I followed her whole career at Connecticut, and she's dope. So
it's kind of funny. Like I would say, like a Maya Moore is like a Kobe because she was just a bucket. Diana Taurasi is like a LeBron. She even wears LeBrons. And Breonna Stewart wears KDs.
Yeah. And in Seattle, where it all started. So, yeah. Antonio Brown suspended for 8 games, so we'll see if a team opts to pick him up or...
If we didn't have 3 guys going for 1,000 yards this year, I would say we should pick him up, but we don't need him. Maybe you guys should. Give Keenan Allen.
You will have 3 guys going?
Mm-hmm.
I like the young dude.
CD?
I like him.
No, I thought you like what's his name too though.
Who?
Our Gallup.
Gallup's not bad. CD's gonna be special. You gotta take care of him. He's gonna be special.
I already got my CD Lamb jersey. I can't wait to wear it.
Yeah. The Rock buys the NFL for $15 million.
XFL.
My fault. XFL. Yeah. So that's. I will say this. I think people are more likely to now. The XFL's budget isn't going to be as high, but just knowing that you have a black owner of a NFL league per se, I honestly think that people will be more likely to want to play for him just because he's black. So, but congrats to him, man. He's been all over the place. Between movies and just with his tequila. The Rock has just been nothing but an inspiration to everybody. So
I just want to say that both Michael Gallup and Amari Cooper had 1,000 yards last year. But shout out to The Rock, like you said. I do think it'll be interesting to see if he gets that league up and running? Because this is a league we've seen fold twice.
They were about to go to bankrupt.
They folded as soon as the COVID started.
With COVID, like everything was done.
And we saw them fold before. It was just about to come back. So it'll be interesting to see them get off the ground. I do think a league like the XFL is more likely to have a full season right now than the NFL. Oh wow, Michael Gallup had more yards than him. That's crazy.
Don't worry about it. He was hurt. He was hurt a few years.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But
Michael was better than that.
I think a league like that.
We got two receivers with over 1,000 yards too.
Yeah, because you're always trying to come back.
It don't matter. It don't matter. And y'all never came back.
I don't know.
You made it seem like
What'd your
y'all
running
was.
back have? What'd your running back have? What'd your quarterback have? Oh, we already said that.
Well,
That got a better year.
Rivers had 46.
Yeah.
But he had a crappy year.
Yeah.
So
He wasn't 31-10. Interceptions, touchdowns, interceptions.
He had a horrible year. We were last place.
He was
We were last
trying
place.
to catch Jameis.
We can do. You know what? I'll do this. I'll do 2018 season.
Oh.
Hey.
Mike,
You
why
know,
don't you go to the year when you guys won 14-2 and just see that
I'm telling you, in 2006. I'm telling you.
Let's go that stuff. Those stats.
No, because it's just Rivers. That's the only player that was still there in 2006. Rivers.
That's all I want to see is his stats.
Anyways, all right. So what other news we got? We got the verses tomorrow. Rick Ross versus 2 Chainz. So who you got in
Rose?
Ross all day. I'm
Shout
Ross all day.
out to 2 Chainz. I'm a huge 2 Chainz fan. As an entrepreneur, the guy, the hustler, Teddy Boy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Eric Brown.
Player Circle.
Yeah, I'm a big 2 Chainz fan. I just think in these battles, man, popularity of songs matters so much. Like Rose to me has the more popular, mainstream, bigger hits. You know what I'm saying?
And I feel like now both of them. I don't want to say. I feel like 2 Chainz. Before he like blew up and got big, it was a No Lie song with Drake, and I feel like that's kind of like what put him on the map. He was known with Player Circle and all that, but when he did that song with Drake, when Drake was already, Drake, I feel like that's exactly when his career really took off. But yeah, I mean with Ross has I would love to see Ross and T.I. That would be a more fair matchup to me.
I think Ross and T.I. would be good.
And I'd love to see Gucci and Jeezy.
Versus ain't doing that. I don't think the audience is big enough for that.
What you mean? It might. You never know. But you have to look at look at their fan bases. When you look at, because I guarantee you, all the people that watch DMX and Snoop most likely follow DMX and Snoop, and they watch.
Yeah, but
Gucci has a ton of people that follow him, and so does Jeezy. So you get them together and they promote it.
Snoop Dogg is arguably the most famous rapper ever.
I agree.
You can't like his popularity. He had top 10 Billboard songs.
Okay, I'll put it like this. I see what you're saying.
That's all.
However, okay, so
in urban hip hop culture, super popular. But those are like everybody who's done a versus for the most part, except for even Jadakiss,
Erica, yeah, even them two. Perfect example, them two, and then also too looking at Erykah Badu and Jill Scott.
Jadakiss, Fabulous, Jill Scott, Erykah Badu are way more popular.
Jeezy's pretty mainstream. Pretty mainstream.
But Gucci Man is most popular for giving his girl some money and coming out of jail, and she like triples it, and people think he has a clone more than his music. Like,
I feel like nowadays,
and Jeezy goes. I mean, Gucci Man could rap,
right.
But I'm just saying, popularity wise, I don't think
it's not like we're trying to get like a DaBaby or Lil Baby, or like it's somebody that's been around for decades. Gucci has been around forever, and all I'm saying is that the Gucci fans will follow, just like the Fab and Jadakiss fans and Jill Scott, Alicia Keys, John Legend, Snoop. Like the fans will follow, and I feel like if you have a great social media platform, which they all have, and then you get Timbaland that promotes it, and you get word will get around, and I just feel like that's great that you get a artist that's, because when you look at it, it's been all black people that's been doing this. Yeah. Everybody knows who Jeezy is. Everybody knows who Gucci is. For the most part. So it's going to be for the
You're
most.
just losing me because you're comparing it to Snoop Dogg.
No,
and
I'm
then you
not,
say
I'm not
everybody knows
trying
Gucci
to, but
is,
I'm
like,
saying they have
that's not the same
they
level.
have platforms too. And if you get your people, let's say they each have 5 million followers. It's probably more than that, but I'm just 5 million. And you get a quarter of those people to tune in, each of them. As long as your views are over 250, 300,000, you're good. Look at, you're Instagram now?
Yeah, 13 million for
See?
Gucci Mane.
See?
Snoop has 50 million. See?
But that's
That's
however,
5 times.
but Snoop is Snoop though.
But that was my
I'm
point.
not. I don't want to compare the
That's my
two.
only
But
point.
all I'm saying is Gucci will use his platform. Jeezy will use his platform, and they have fans that will tune in and watch. That's really all it is. The streets would love to see that. That's all I'm saying. The streets will love to see it. Now I'm not. Now if we do like, even still like they would never do it. But the Baby and Lil Baby, I don't feel like they have a large enough catalog of music to do that. But I mean, I'm sure they could scrape up to 20 songs. But for the most part,
I don't want to see anybody who came out in the last 5 years.
right?
put
You
out
don't.
20 songs.
But Jeezy, Gucci, that's all I'm saying. But anyways, Ross and 2 Chainz, they're tomorrow night. I don't know at what time, but I'll be tuned in. Ross has from Port of Miami 2, and Trilla, and God Forgives I Don't, Black Market. Like he got a ton of hits, and I mean 2 Chainz is. I think 2 Chainz is a features guy, so he needs features to kind of get that big hit. So you have Boats 2. He has some other ones too, but it's gonna be Ross all the way. If Ross plays the right songs, Ross should kill.
Just let you know my contract is about to expire for this episode.
All right, so have you watched this last thing? You ever watched P Valley?
No.
No, P Valley is like a.
Do we have kids that watch this show? We need to see what kind of age group we have watching the show. We're gonna talk about P Valley.
You watch though?
No, I heard about it though.
Yeah.
I heard about it.
I hope you don't have no kids watching this show.
I hope we do.
Unless it's your
Hi,
son.
kids.
It's probably just your son. So P Valley is just a show about this girl that she's ended up getting into the stripper life, and so you just kind of see the ins and outs of what goes on in the strip club and how she's just trying to make it and all that stuff. So, but it's a good show. It comes on. So I think they're basically setting it up to where once P Valley ends, Power Book 2 is going to come on with Ghost, which is going to be like Tariq's season. So Tariq and then Tasha being in jail. So
Hate it. Tasha went to jail?
yeah, Tasha got arrested. Last episode she got arrested because Tariq killed Ghost, and then Tasha ended up taking a rap
she
for
took
her.
the rap. I
Yeah,
remember that.
so she was just like, go to school. So now Tariq is out at not Choate, but whatever school, and then from there. But Method Man and Mary J. Blige is gonna be in this one, so.
Oh, great.
So that should be good. So.
Has me really looking forward to part 2. What's it called?
Power Book 2.
Power Book 2.
Yeah, so other than that, that's really all we got. We're going to find out about more people coming out, opting out of the NFL. Right now, it's like at 45 people that are opting out. So.
I don't think the NFL makes it through a whole season. I don't think MLB, we haven't talked about MLB. I don't think they make it
Padres
through
ain't
a whole
doing
season.
bad, man. We won them on with the Dodgers. Padres not doing bad.
I don't care. I don't think that the season will last.
And Marlins, they're still delayed.
And shout out to the NBA, another round of no positive
It's been
tests.
like a month, almost 2 months of like no positive tests. So I commend those guys for staying in there with, nothing to. I mean, you can hang out with other guys, but I mean, at the end of the day, we're all men. So I commend them for being able to just stay in an area away from your family, away from your wife, significant others, all that stuff. So, but yeah, so. We're losing Mom. Dang. Let's see your opinion in standout receiver overall. What's in your opinion?
For who?
Yeah, he's a Saints fan. So
Oh, Michael Thomas. Easy.
yeah, there you go. Done. So other than that, like, subscribe, YouTube, Spotify,
Packers pick up
Apple Podcasts.
Number 2. I don't remember what I said.
But other than that, we appreciate y'all for joining. Shout out to my wife. We celebrated our 3rd anniversary. We will be celebrating baby free this weekend, so looking forward to that.
I'm babysitting.
All right, y'all. We out. Peace.
We out.